It was another typical season for the New England Patriots. They won a bunch of regular season games, made it to their conference championship game, but ultimately didn't win a championship. It's kind of almost the MO for the New England Patriots in recent years, isn't it? If you really think about it. I don't necessarily say that to be disrespectful because let's face it, I wish my Chicago Bears could be an organization like the New England Patriots. That's won 3 Super Bowl championships, made it to two other Super Bowls in the past decade. That is a consistent playoff contender, a consistent team and organization that wins 10, 11, 12 football games every single year. I wish my team could be like the New England Patriots. I wish, but they're not. And a lot of organizations are. And, I will give the Patriots a lot of credit because they are a very, very, very well run organization. That starts at the top with Robert Kraft, obviously works down to Bill Belichick. And then, it also helps when you have Tom Brady. It really does. But when you look at this 2013 New England Patriots team, even though they made the AFC Championship game, you started to see some of the cracks and chinks in the armor, so to speak, and you realize that the window of opportunity for this team to win a championship is closing very rapidly, and perhaps even more rapidly than the New England Patriots understand, believe, or want to acknowledge. Now, this whole season really got off to an ugly start in the offseason for the New England Patriots. They allowed Wes Welker to leave via free agency because they didn't want to pay him, which ultimately ended up being a big time mistake. Rob Gronkowski, in his situation with his injuries, he wasn't going to be ready to start the season. He missed the first, 5, 6 games, and then he got injured with a few weeks to go in the year, so you didn't get more than half a season out of Gronkowski. Obviously, you had the Aaron Hernandez situation where he wanted to play shoot 'em up, bang, bang all over the place. So 3 of your big key offensive weapons, 2 of them weren't even there at all in 2013 and won't be back ever. And the other one only effectively played half a season. It's no wonder that Tom Brady had less than a stellar year, and it's no wonder that the New England Patriots struggle from time to time. And it's no wonder that it's a testament to the organization and their ability to overcome that they were even able to get to the point where they did of winning 12 games, winning the AFC East again, and making it to the playoffs, having a first round bye, winning a home playoff game. Because they also had some injuries on the defensive side of the ball. Vince Wilfork and Gerard Mayo, arguably their 2 best defensive players. They missed significant portions of the season. Aqib Talib was in and out of the lineup during the 2013 season with injuries. He's by far their best corner. I mean, there's only so much you could do to overcome significant injuries like that before they start to really catch up with you. When you look at this Patriots team on the offensive side of the football, what was Tom Brady really supposed to do? Even with the running backs, you have the Ridleys and the Vareens, even though Vareen missed a good portion of the season. You had LeGarrette Blount, but they allowed Danny Woodhead to walk via free agency, and he went to San Diego. And, ultimately letting him go ended up being a mistake. You have Brandon Bolden as well, and they have all these running backs, but they really don't have a running back. Does that make sense? Kind of similar to the Carolina Panthers. You can almost have too much at one position, and it ends up negating itself and counterbalancing itself to where you really don't have much of anything at the position and you have no consistent identity. And that's what I feel happened. And you look at Tom Brady on the offensive side of the ball. Who's he supposed to throw to? Guys like Danny Amendola and Julian Edelman and Kembrell Tompkins and Aaron Dobson. Ooh. Ooh. It's no wonder the New England Patriots at times struggled to move the ball offensively. It's no wonder that they struggled at times to put up points. At times, because other times they did just that. But, man, you could see what the losses of Gronkowski to injury and Hernandez to murders and Welker to free agency because you didn't want to pay him. You could see how much that really impacted Tom Brady and the New England Patriots offense. On the defensive side of the football, you got a great year out of Chandler Jones. And, he's playing like a first-round pick should from 2 years ago. They still, pieced it together and still played some nice defense, but this is not an elite defensive unit by any stretch of the imagination. And I will say this, I think sometimes Belichick gets a pass Maybe it's because of the 3 Super Bowl victories. Maybe it's because of the 5 total Super Bowl appearances in his time in New England. Maybe it's because of their consistency year in and year out. But you have to question, with Belichick being such an alleged defensive genius, at times his defenses look ridiculous. And they look bad. They do. He's supposed to be such a defensive genius, but sometimes I have a hard time seeing that. And sometimes I just question some of the decision making that this guy makes in general. Heading into this offseason, and it's one of those seasons, like I said, it's about what I would have expected out of the New England Patriots. Win their division, maybe win a playoff game, and ultimately come up short and not win a championship. That's exactly what they did. They did exactly what I thought they would. They met my expectations. And like I said, their window of opportunity to win a championship is rapidly closing. May have already fully closed, but I still think there's that glimmer of hope. But they have to hurry up and get it together, and they have to hurry up and fix their deficiencies. They must, because if they don't, a team like Miami or possibly even the Jets or maybe even the Buffalo Bills at some point is going to supplant the New England Patriots in the AFC East sooner rather than later. You will probably see a lot of mock drafts and a lot of talk in this offseason about the Patriots addressing needs and holes on the defensive side of the football, getting somebody to play defensive tackle next to Vince Wilfork and maybe potentially replacing him, getting some help at outside linebacker, getting some help, more help in the secondary, and that's all fine and good. And they do need to do that. There are holes that they need to address. But I do think for the New England Patriots, it would be ridiculous and ludicrous to ignore the offensive side of the football. They must understand that Tom Brady is ultimately the one that's going to win him a championship. They must understand, Bill Belichick, that even though he's a defensive coach, he's a defensive guy, that Tom Brady's a franchise piece. And you must give him more to work with than Stephen Ridley and Shane Vereen and LeGarrette Blount and Brandon Bolden. And then in the passing game, guys like Kembrell Tompkins and Aaron Dobson and freaking Julian Edelman and Danny Amendola. You can't expect Tom Brady to take you to a championship with that supporting cast. Now, you would hope in 2014 that Gronkowski is going to come back from his knee injury at some point in time and be the Gronk of old. But that's remains to be seen. There's no guarantee. And how much can you really count on Gronkowski with all the injuries that he's got in the past couple of seasons? The Patriots, early and often in this draft, must address their deficiencies at the offensive skill set positions. A guy like Jace Amaro, the tight end out of Texas Tech, would fit wonderfully here for the New England Patriots in round 1. He could either be that complement to Gronkowski, your new non-crazy shoot-'em-up bang-bang version of Aaron Hernandez that could give you that 2 tight end threat that made the New England Patriots offense so good for the past couple of seasons. Or if Gronkowski can't get back to the form of old, you've potentially got Gronkowski's replacement to a degree in tomorrow. And with this being a deep wide receiver class, they must find some help at that position. They need to find a vertical down the field threat, maybe somebody like a Paul Robinson from Colorado or a Martavius Bennett from Clemson. Or maybe they need a big physical possession receiver, somebody like a Jordan Matthews out of Vanderbilt, maybe a Devontae Adams out of Fresno State. They need to help Tom Brady. Help him. You cannot expect him to win championships throwing to 2 white wide receivers in Edelman and Amendola, an undrafted 25-year-old guy in Kembrell Tompkins and Aaron Dobson. It's just not going to happen. And it didn't happen in 2013. And if the Patriots are arrogant enough to think that they're so star-spangled awesome that they don't need to address these deficiencies, they may very well not win the division title in 2014, let alone worry about contending for a Super Bowl.